includes
Nesse vídeo, você vai aprender.
Hello friend, welcome back. In this video, I want to discuss about what type of project we will complete in this session. Okay, so after end of this session, we'll develop this type of one of the task list project, and into this task list project, we'll use that total JavaScript and we'll save all the data in our local storage. Like here, if you want to add new job, I want to create one website. So that is my task. Okay, and after that, when you click as a add task, now you can see it's now successfully added this task. So now there is a create new one, and this data will be saved in our local storage. If you go to our inspect, into the inspect, if you go to that local storage, there is an application and local storage, right? And that is our task will be saved in here. Okay, you can see there is a new task is now successfully added. And if you make this task as a completed, if you select it, now you can see it's now become completed. Then that will become changed, and here there is a CSS I have applied, that will be changed. Okay, you can unselect it, then that will be executed. And also from here, if you want to edit it, then you can see that will be displaying here. That is our total title will be displaying here. That is our button will be updated as a edit task, and then the cancel. If you click as a cancel, then that will be as a empty. And rather than if you want to change it, like I make it as a website done. Okay, I make it as a done. And now if you click as a edit task, now you can see it's now successfully updated. And also this data will be updated in our local storage. You can see to the local storage, this data will be saved. Okay, also if you refresh it, then this data will be same. Okay, from here you can edit it, and you can also cancel it. Rather than if you want to delete it, click as a delete, then you can see this data is totally gone from here, and also it's gone from our local storage. So that will be very interactive one of the project. How can do that work into this session, we'll develop it from the scratch. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here, we successfully complete our form validation project, and I hope you like it very much. So now in this video, we'll develop another project. So before do that work, so that is our form validate all that our code, right? I have already saved all that code from to our JavaScript, and I save it in our project exercise file. That is our project 4 as a form validation. You can see that is our done. Okay, so every code you will get it from to this area. So that is our 4 project. And now I want to add another mini project. So friend, as I told you, step by step we'll go more deep, and we'll develop multiple projects, and I hope JavaScript will be very easy to you. Like right now there is a project 5, and here I have already created one of the structure. That is one of the index.css, that are one of the index.html, and that is our main work in our index.js. Here we have to add, right? I hope you already know about that structure, and if you open our file, that is the index.html file, and you can see our project will be here. That is one of the task area. So from to this position, if you add any task, click as add task, then this task will be added in particular that area. Okay, and this all the data I will save in our local storage. So now in this video we'll work into the local storage area, and from to this area, if you want to make this as a done, then that will be as executed. From here, if you want to edit it, if you can edit it, if you want to delete it, then that will be deleted. So right now that is all that is static structure. Now step by step we'll make it as interactive. Okay, so for doing this, our first work is we have to do, right now we don't need this. There is our new project. I want to take it. Okay, there is a project file, there is a static file. I copy it, and then I want to add it in our JavaScript folder. Into the JavaScript folder, here I simply paste it. Okay, and now I want to add this project. I want to add this project in our Visual Studio Code editor with the open folder. I simply, that is our JavaScript. I select our task. There is a task list. I select this project. Now that will be loaded in here. Okay, now you can see it's now perfectly get all the data, and now there is our index.js. So here will actually work. Right now it's totally empty, but there is I have some of the CSS. I have already write down some of the CSS, and also there is a index.html. And into the index.html, you can see there is one of the task list title. There have one of the add list. So that is over here we have to work. And then if you go like, that is one of the header. Okay, into this header there is the input field for the add data. I hope if you know a little bit that HTML or CSS, it's very easy on some of the static structure. Okay, you can see I've also loaded that script as index.js, so which is totally fine. And in particular, that position, that is one of the tasks. Okay, so here you can see that is our act task, and then there is a task list. So that is our task list. Okay, so if you want to add another task list, then you can actually add it. Then there have the another. There is actually task list. You can see there is a task list. So now I want to add another task list. If you select this div, so now there is another div. If you copy it, and then if you add another one, okay, I want to simply paste it. Now click as a save all, and now I want to run it with our live server. I want to simply run it. Okay, I run it. Live server is open. You can see now there is another task is successfully added. Great. Right now we don't need this, so that is our task. So here we successfully set up our UI for our this project. Now step by step we'll make it as a dynamic. So how can do that work? Step by step I will show you everything with the live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here, we successfully set up our project, right? And that will be one of the object-oriented prototype. Here, first of all, I want to add some of the tasks, right? Here, when you add some of the tasks, click as the add task. These tasks will be added in here, and all the data will be saved in our local storage. So for the reasons here, now we have to do, first of all, we have to create 3 of this constructor. If you go right now, here, I want to open our index.js. So into this index.js in here, as I told you, we have to create one of the constructor. Okay, first constructor will be our task, right? So that will be as a task. So into this task area here, I want to save some of the ID. Okay, here that will be one of the ID, that will be one of the title. Okay, that will be one of the title, and also when this job will be done, that means he's completed or not. Here we have to get it. So I want to do and to make it another will be as a completed. Okay, is completed. Great. So that will be our first constructor. Our second constructor will be our UI. Okay, into this UI area here, I want to create the total code application. Like here, you can able to add it, read it, edit it, and then delete it, right? So that will be our UI. For the UI, I want to create another constructor, and also I have to save this data, right? I have to save this data in our local storage. Okay, local storage. So that will be our local storage. Now we have to create first of all 3 of this constructor function, and step by step we'll complete this process. Okay, now let's do that work. For doing this, I want to do I want to create 3 of this file for 3 of this our constructor. If you want to do that work, like here, I want to create another new file. First of all, I may name it as a task. Okay, I make it as a task.js. So that will be our one constructor function. I will create it in here. I want to create another one as a UI. Okay, UI.js. Sorry, that will be as a JS. Okay, I make it as a rename as a JS. So that will be the UI.js, and also another one will be as a local storage, right? So I want to create another file as a local storage.js. Okay, perfect. So I simply created 3 of this file in here. So first of all, I want to create our task. Okay, that is a task constructor function, and into this task constructor function, that will be 3 property. One will be as ID, title, and then is complete, right? So now that is our task. Here I want to name one of the function keyword, and I just name it as a task. Okay, task. So that will be our function, and into this task function area here, I want to into the parameter area, I want to pass one of the title. Okay, I simply pass the title. And then I want to take some of the property, like I name it as this ID. Okay, that is the ID property, and ID property will be one of the date format. I want to do, if you go to our index.html, into this index.html, like here, that is our all that edit positions, and when that will be saved. Okay, you can see when that will be saved, that is our data created date. So that is the date I want to do and to add. Okay, I want to take this date. So for the reasons here, but I want to take one of the date format. I hope you already remember that part. I have already discussed about that things with you. That will be a date, right? And with this date here, I want to make it a little bit professional way. That will be as a to local stream. Okay, I want to use that as a to local stream method. Here I simply load it. Great. And then I want to take another one that will be as a title. This title, one of the another property, and for this property I pass one of the parameter as a title. So that will be our this title. Okay, I simply take it. Great. And also there is another one I want to take as a here that will be as a the is complete, right? I want to take it. I name it as is complete. Is complete. And if is complete for the first time, I want to make it as a false. Okay, when it should be saved this data, that means when our data will be stored successfully, then I want to change that status, that will be as a true. And then I want to work in our UI. Okay, better I save it, and now I want to work into the UI, and into this UI area right now I want to make it as a empty. I may name it as a UI. Okay, so that is our function, and here we'll actually add multiple prototype. So right now for the reasons here, I want to make it as a empty. Now I want to work in our local storage. So into this local storage also I declare one of the another function, and I just name it as a local storage. Okay, so that is our function name. Here we'll also add multiple prototype in here. So right now I make it as a empty, which is totally fine. There is our local storage, there is a task, and there is our UI. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. So that is all that our constructor functions. So now if you want to access all that functions, okay, if you want to access all that functions in different page, what exactly you have to do? We have to simply export it. Remember, now I want to export. That will be the export. Okay, export. I want to export, and then the default. Okay, default, export default, and our function name as a ls, right? I simply export it from to this position. I also want to export that UI. Okay, I export this UI, and also want to export our task. Okay, I simply export our this method function name as a task. Great. So now I want to do when and you put any name, and after that if you click as a add task, first work I want to do to save it, and I want to display it in here. Okay, so if you want to display it, then we have to work in particular this button, right? So first of all I want to find out this button. So that is in our index.html, and into this index.html that is one of the button like as a task list. Okay, there is a task list, and there is a add task button, right? I want to find out this add task button, because that is our add task button, and into this area they have one of the class as a add task button. So now first of all I have to take it. I hope you already understand what exactly you have to do in our index.js. Right now I make it as a clean, and then here that will be one of the document, right? And then the query selector, right? I want to take that query selector, and with this query selector here I want to get that our class name. So our class name is here as a add task button, right? So that is our class name. I simply take this class name. Okay friend, and also after that there is one of the event, like that is one of the click type event, right? For the reasons here we have to do, because when you click it, then that will be executed. So that is one of the click. Here we have to add one of the add event listener. So after this I want to add that as a add event listener. Okay, add event listener. So this event listener, first of all, what exactly you have to do here, we have to pass that our type will be as a click type. So that will be as a click type. I simply added this click type, and then I want to create one of the array function, pass one of the event object. So there is event object, and then there is our array function. I simply loaded this array function. Great, I hope you understand this part. Every part should be very clear, because we have done a lot of the work with this. Now I want to do whatever the text value you will be added in here. After that I want to first of all save it. Okay, here I want to first of all take this, and I want to visible it in here. So if you want to do that work, that is one of the input field, right? I want to find out this input field down in our index, and into the index here you can see that is the one of the input field, and into this input field area they have one of the ID. Now simple work, I want to take this ID. If you want to take it, better I copy it. Okay, I copy this ID, and now in our input, and then in our documents here, to this function area, into this array function area, here I want to take one of the constant variable. Okay, I take one of the constant variable. I just name it as a task title. Okay, I name it as a task title, and then that will be the document, and then the query selector. So into this query selector, if you want to get some of the ID, what exactly you have to do, that will be as a hash, and then our ID, right? Our ID name as a new task ID. So I simply loaded this ID in here. Okay friend, so after that with this I want to get this value, and then that will be as a, I want to check it into the console. Okay, into the console log area, if you now check our this task, then everything will be more clear. So I simply loaded in here. So now if you click as a save all, now let's check this out. If you go, better I refresh it, and I want to go to that inspect. Okay, into this inspect I want to check it. into the console. Here if you pass as a Aryan, and then I want to make it as a add task. Yes, you can see it's now successfully get this value. So now that is the value I want to visible in here. Okay, that means in particular that position. So if you want to visible it, now we have to work in our this UI function, that is a constructor function I have already created. So here we have to work. Better I want to continue this process. In our next video, I will show you that things with the live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully created 3 constructor function, right? As a local storage, task, and then UI. And into this index, I have already get our specific clicker, that is our query selector, that is one of the class name, and also that have one of the ID, right? I have already get both of these. And now I want to that means here I have already get all that our input value. Now I want to save this input value, visible it in here. Okay, so if you want to do that work, I want to work into the another constructor function that I have created in our UI. So first of all, I want to load our UI, because from to this position I already export this UI, I export this task, right? I want to add both of these in our this index.js. So if you want to export it, what exactly you have to do? I hope you already remember that will be the input, right? There is the input, and then that will be our name it as UI. Make that your the name, that is a UI, right? So that is our UI, and UI will be comes from our which place. So first of all, that will be into the same page right now, and that is our UI. Okay, that is UI.js. I simply loaded that things in here, and also the same things I want to apply for our task. Better I want to input, I name it as a task. So I copy it, so that will be as a task from. Okay, task from, and then the same our place as a task.js. Okay, I simply loaded both of these. Here into the task, I have already created one of the function name as a task, and then I have passed one of the parameter as a title, right? So when you access with this title, we get our total object data. So it will be returned one of the total object data, because that is also all that our property. You can see there is ID property, title, and then is complete. So that is one of the object data. If you want to get this data, then here, okay, right now we don't need this. I want to first of all create one of the object. Okay, I want to create a new object. I take one of the variable as a constant variable. Sorry, there is a constant variable, and I just name it as a task. And then I want to create another new object. So there is a new, and here I pass it by the name. I name it as a task, right? I pass it is with the task. So now with this task, as I told you, that will be return one total object. So with this title, I want to access our total object. So here I pass one of the parameter as a title. So now I want to pass this our task, that is a task title here as a parameter. Okay, so I simply pass it. So now if you but I show you, then everything will be more clear with this console log. Okay, console. There is a console log. Into this console log area, here I want to display our this task. Okay, so now I want to pass it. Now what exactly the data it should be do? Click as a save all, and now if you go our page, now refresh it. Now you can see there is the same error. I have already discussed about that things with you. There is a cannot use input statement outside the module. So when you get this type of one of the error, what exactly you have to do? In our index, into this index, I have already loaded that index. You can see index.js. So here only you have to pass one of the type as a module, right? Module. So make that sure you add it. So then that will be totally gone. Click as a save all. Now go there, click as a refresh. You can see it's now totally gone. And now I want to add it. Okay, I name it as a new work. Okay, new work. I want to add this type of the text. Now click as a add. Yes, you can see it's now created one of the object. I hope friend it's very much clear to you right now. It's now created one of the object as an ID, and into this ID it's passed that our time, and then is complete it's passed that as a false, because I have already make it as a false. Okay, default I make it as a false. You can see, which is totally fine. And also there is our title. I have passed the title name as a new work, because that is our which title. Here I have already get this title. I hope everything will be more clear right now. You can see there is a document. I have already get our input, that is our one of the ID. So with this ID, I get that input value, right? I get that input value. I take the things in here for the reasons. Here I pass it in our this parameter area. Now you can see it's now perfectly display our this title. Okay, and also it's return one of the object. And now is executed from where? It's now executed out which function? That is a task function, right? There is another constructor function as a task function. So now that's all that value. Here now I want to do and to pass it in our UI, right? Because with this UI I want to do and to visible it in here. I hope friend you get some of the idea. So now that is our task. So into this task it's return one of the objects. This object now I want to display into the with the UI in here. Right now we have to work into the UI. Like if you go to our index for the first time, I want to create one of the object for this UI. So I take one of the constant variable. I just name it as a UI. Okay, UI. And then I want to create one of the object for the UI. So I make it as one of the create on the object for this UI. I have already get that our UI I imported it with the name as a UI. Okay. And if you go here, you can see there is a function name as UI. So I created one of the object, and now I want to pass our all the task into this task area, all that our object, right? So this object value I want to pass it in our this UI function. Okay, just simply understand step by step all that process. So here for the reasons I want to do after this, okay, here I want to create one of the prototype as a UI. Okay, I name that as a UI, and then I name that prototype name as a add. Okay, add to UI. So I name it as a add to UI, and into this UI area here I want to pass our object data. Object data means what? I have already take this object data, I check it with the console log, that is our task, because that is all that our object data, right? Here I simply pass it. I hope friend it's very clear. Now I want to do, I have already get all that our object in our UI. Now into this UI area I want to load it. Okay, so if I want to load it, first of all I want to declare that prototype, that will be the UI. So now with this UI I want to add that as a prototype. Okay, our prototype name, what exactly that name I have write down in here, our prototype name as a add to UI. I copy it, then that will be as a add to UI. And then that will be our function. Okay, that is our function, and into this function area here I want to into particular that position I want to pass our parameter. Our parameter will be what? Here I pass that parameter as a task, right? So that will be all that our object right now in particular this position. So that is our task. Okay, here I want to pass it. So now I want to display. Okay, that means I want to get our all that object data and to display in our UI like that way. Okay, first of all we have to find out this part. If you go to our index, into this index, you can see that is actually our total task, right? Better I want to do, I copy it, and before we have already done this type of one of the work, like I just copy it now in our UI. Okay, here better I want to save it first with this comment out. I make some of the comment out, and then that will be added comment out. Okay, here I want to paste it. I get some of the references from here. And now that is our task. I want to add one of the element. Okay, that means the HTML element. So I take that name as a late, and I just name it as a new HTML, right? So that will be as a new HTML. I name it as a new HTML, whatever the name actually choose. And now into the backtick, here I use that as a backtick. Okay, into this backtick area I want to load our this div. So I simply now cart it. I cart this div, and then in our this backtick area here I want to paste it, and also I make it as a semicolon, which is totally fine. Okay friend, and now you can see every data, that means object data, if you now check it, now you can see there is our ID, that is one of the is completed, and that is our title. Right now if you go, you can see there is our one of the attribute, that is a data created as here, that will be our ID, and then here I want to display our which things I want to display the title, right? So here I remove it, and then if you want to add it, what exactly you have to do? First of all, that was a dollar, and then the curly bracket, and I have already get all the data with this task, right? So now with this task I want to access our which things, I want to access this ID. Now I want to display our property as an ID. Okay, great. And also the same things I want to apply for the title. So here I simply update that with this task, our name as a title. Now I want to copy it, then that will be our object property name as a title. And then what exactly you have to do? Now that is one of the div. So this div will be added in here, right? So for that, there have another ID. If you go to our index.html, there is one task, there is another task, and you can see that is the task list. Now we have to add this div task in our this task list area. Simple work that I have already done before. Now we have to add it in our UI. Okay, here after this I want to do, okay, here I want to add that will be the document, and then what, I hope you already remember there is a document, and with the query selector, first of all we have to get that our class name, right? So our class name here, our class name as a task list, I copy it, that will be as a task list. I simply loaded this task list, and then also we have to do that means when you insert it, last one will be displayed into the first. So here there is also I have discussed about another method as insert adjacent HTML. Remember, as a after beginner, so I want to call this method as a insert. You can see there is an insert adjacent element HTML. So here I want to call this, and I want to pass that our that is will be one of the position. Our position will be into the first. Okay, so I make it as a after begin. You can see that is our already suggested as a after begin. I simply loaded this after begin. Our which things I want to load our this element, or that is all a new HTML. Okay, I simply pass it in here. Okay friend, that's all. Now that should be successfully display in particular that position. I hope every part is very much clear. All right friend, now let's check this out. If you click as a save all, and now if you go, I want to refresh it, and I want to refresh, and then I want to make it as a RN. Okay, I make it as one of the another text as a RN work. Okay, RN work, and now if you click as a add task, you can see it's now successfully added, and that is our object data. So this object data, you can see here I make now into the UI area, that will be displayed. I hope every part is very clear. So now if you want to add new one, click as a add task, new task is added, click as a new one, click as a add task, new task is added. Okay, but here one thing, as I told you before, when you submit, after that submit, I want to make it as a clean. Okay, you can see when you actually submit new one, that is actually remaining in here. So I want to do when that will be submitted, then this all that form data will be removed. For the reasons I want to create another function in our index. Okay, after this in our UI area I want to create it, so that will be as a UI, and into this UI I want to call that as a reset form. Okay, reset form. I want to call this method as a reset form. Now we have to create this prototype as a reset form prototype in our UI. Right, now go to our UI, and into this UI that is our total one, and then there is our another one, so that is actually started and ended in here, right? So after this I want to that is our last one, right? Yes, that is our last one. So here I want to add another one, so that will be as a UI, same procedure. Okay, same procedure, that is a UI, and then I want to add that prototype, that is a UI prototype, and our prototype name as a reset form. Right here I have already named it as a reset form. Make the sure spelling is correct. And now into this reset area I want to add another function. Okay, that will be another function. I simply loaded this function, that is our function. And into this function area, what exactly we have to do, like if you go to our index, because that is one of the input field, right? Into this input field I want to make it as a clean. So if you go to our index.html, for the input field you can see that is our input field, our ID as a new task ID. So this task with this ID I want to make it as a empty value. If you want to add this empty value, then first of all we have to take it, so that will be as a document, and then the query selector. So with this query selector I want to get this ID. When that will be as ID, that will be as a hash, and then ID name, right? And after that our value, so that is our value. I want to make this value, will be as a empty. Okay, so that's the simple things now we have to apply in here. Okay, great. So that's all. Now our prototype, our reset form, that is a function. Into this function area I simply get our, with this query selector, our ID. So that is our input field ID. This ID field value will be as a empty. Okay, for the reasons here I make this value will be as a empty. Now let's check this out. Click as a save all. Now go there, click as a refresh. Now you can see when you refresh, all the data is gone. Because of all, I didn't save this data into the local storage. Laterally we'll save this data into the local storage, then every data will be stay in here, right? So right now I make it as a new one. Now click as a add text, and you can see when any new text is added, our input value is now become null. Okay, so now that is, I make it as a null. And now you can see it's not totally great. Now we make it as a RN work. okay, already on work, add it. There is a add task successfully done. That is totally empty. Great. In our next video, I want to work in our this checkbox. When you select it, then that will be as a selected. That means this work is done. And also I want to work into the delete button. Okay, how can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, right now from here, if you add new task, click as a add task, new task will be added. But here one things I missed, like if you make it as empty, if you after that empty, if you click as add task, you can see it's not successfully added this task. So if you want to prevent it, I have already discussed about that things with you. Here we only have to do, we have to add another condition, right? Now let's do that work. For doing this in our index, into the index, that is our task, right? That is a task title, and here I get all that our value. So first of all, I want to check that value length is empty or not. So if you want to do that work, I simply added one of the if condition. Okay, that is our if condition, and into this if condition area, here I want to do with this task title. That means this title, when that will be, I want to get that our length. Okay, that is a length property as a length. Okay, I make it as a length. Length will, when it will be greater than 0, then that will be executed. Okay, and after that I want to better take everything from here and then I paste it. Not that simple process. I hope you already know about it, but I shared that things with you. So that is the simple condition. It will be check our value. When this value is empty, then that will be not executed. When that will be greater than 0, then that will be executed, right? Now if you click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, and now I want to add new task. Task is added. When that will be empty, click as a add. You can see it's not added any data. Okay, now with this condition we can actually prevent it. Great. So that is a simple process. I hope it's very much clear to you. See, in our next video I will work in our this select function and also the delete area. How can do that work is step by step. I will show you everything with the live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we have solved one of the issue. Right now, if you make it as empty and after that empty, you cannot able to add any task, right? How can do that work? I hope it's very much clear to you. Now in this video, I want to discuss about our this delete functionality. That is a delete, and also when this task is the complete, when you click as a check mark, then this task will be as a complete. Okay, now step by step I want to complete this portion. For doing this, we have to first of all get our this delete, right? So into this delete, when you click it, then all that our total day will be deleted. So like I want to do, I want to find out a specific this file location, that is our index. In our index.html here, you can see that is actually our all the task, right? That is all that our task. That is our hello world. There is a one div, right? There is a one div, and also there is another div, and all the div is included in our which class as a task list class, right? So now I want to actually first of all get our this specific task list. So if you want to get it, what exactly you have to do? We have to get it with the query selector, and so also I want to add one of the event listener, right? Because when you click it in here, then that will be executed. So that will be one of the add event listener, and listener will be as a click type. Right? I hope you already know about it. Now go to our index. Okay, right now CSS, we don't need this index.js. So into this index.js, after this, okay, after this I want to again add that same document. Okay, that will be the document, and then the query selector. So there is a query selector, and into this query selector, first of all I'm going to get that our class name. Our class name, as we already see, that is actually task list, right? I copy this class name, and now here that will be our class name. Great. And also I want to add one of the add event listener. So then what exactly you have to do? That will be the add, okay, add event listener. So into this add event listener, first of all, that will be which type, right? So here I want to make it as a click type. So that will be as one of the click type. And also after that I want to create one of the array function. I simply created this array function. So into this array function, I want to pass one of the event object. Okay, I make it as a E. Right now, I simply pass it as E. Okay, and now first of all, we have to do. I want to find out. That means which location. Like first of all, we have to find out the delete, the edit, and then there is also another click function as a complete. Right now, I want to if you want to display it, then only you have to do. We have to access it with our target. Right. So that will be as a console. and into the console log, and into this console log area here, if you pass that our event target, so now with this target we are able to get it. I show you, like here right now I make it as a event target, and now if you click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, now I want to inspect it. Okay, I want to inspect it, and then go to that console, and into the console area right now I am click it in our this delect. If you click as a click, you can see it's not perfectly get our specific class for this, right? And now if you click as a edit, yes, you can see that is for the another one as a edit. Okay, you edit, and there is a class name as a task of edit, and that is our task of delete. And also for select, if you select it, and now you can see there is also another one as the input type, and that is our total div. The type will be as a checkbox type, and class, so class will be needed, right? So that is our task check. And also if you only want to get that class name, then what exactly you have to do? Simple work. I want to do, like for delete, I want to get only the class name. For edit, I only want to get this class name, and also for the select, I want to get that class name. That means this class name that will be display. If you want to display it, then that will be as an event, that is event target, and after that I want to pass that as a class name. Okay, now that will be written only the class name. If you now click the save all, now go there, I refresh it, and now if you click as a delete, you can see our delete class is visible, edit class is visible, and also our checkbox class is visible. I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you. So now I want to add on the condition. Okay, with this condition, I will check it. We are perfectly pressed into the delete button rather than the edit button, rather than the select button. Okay, with this class, now we are able to access it. Like if you want to do that work, I want to put another condition. Okay, after this I want to add another condition as a if condition. Okay, I have simply added on the if condition, and into this if condition area here with this event target, right? So there is an event target, and I want to add that class name. I want to access our class name. That means that is task of or delete or not. Okay, so that is our delete class name, right? So therefore the delete, we already get this class name. I copy it. Simply understand how much easily we can do that work. So if you want to get it, that means that is one of the string value, right? So if you want to get one of the string into the sub-string area, then what exactly the method you have to run? That will be the include method, right? That will be the includes, that is includes method, and into this includes method, that will be check that is our substring or not. Okay, that means that is appropriate substring or not. So when that will be match, okay, when it should be get that appropriate our this class, then I want to do and to visible it with the console log. Okay, console log, into this console log area, it should be display one of the message. Okay, I want to display message as a delete button pressed. Okay, pressed. So this type of one of the message, then that will be display. I hope, friend, it's very clear, right? Now if you click as a save all, I click as a save all, and now if you go, now I just simply refresh it, and now if you click as a delete, now you can see it's now perfectly displayed as a delete button pressed. That means here that is our delete button. So with this class we successfully get it. Okay, so right now we don't need this, because here that is also display our class name, right? We don't need this class name. I simply remove it, and now if you click it again, click as a save all, now refresh it, and now if you click as a delete, now you can see it's now perfectly display our message. That means that is our appropriate position. If you click as a edit, now you can see it's not working, right? It's not working. And now what exactly you have to do? So now I want to do, when you click as a delete, then this total our div will be deleted from to the DOM. Like if you go to our index, in our index HTML, and into the index HTML, our all that tags div, that means here you can see that is actually our one tags div, and also there is our another tags div, right? So there is a two tags div. When you click as a delete, so that is our trash outline, so that is one of the icon. So when you click it, then I want to do and to remove it from here, right? I want to remove it from our tags list. So if you want to do that work, first of all, I want to do and to create another prototype. If you go to our index, okay, into this index right now we don't need this. With this we already checked it, that is our appropriate delete button, right? Now I want to do and to remove it, and here I want to pass one of the prototype in our UI. Okay, into the UI I have already discussed about that things with you, how can create some of the prototype, and I just name this prototype as a delete task. Okay, I make it as a delete task. So this type of one of the name, and here I want to do and to pass our this event. Okay, that means that is our event. I want to do and to pass this event in here. That's all. Now we have to create this prototype in our UI. That means if you go to our UI, so into this UI I want to do, right now we don't need this. Here I want to create another new one. Okay, that is a UI. What exactly we have to do, I hope you already know. That is UI and then the prototype, right? Into the UI prototype and our prototype name. Our prototype name, I name it as a delete task, and also that have one of the event. So I want to do and to pass it. So that is a delete task, right? And then I want to do and to pass one of the function. Okay, that is a function, and in this function area here I want to pass our this event. I simply pass this event. Okay, and then I want to here if you go to our index, and into the index, first of all I want to find out our button, like that is our total tasks. So into this tasks area you can see that is our button, right? And that is our first, and for the first time we have to go to our parent dev class as a this one, and also there is another parent dev class as a task. First of all we have to get it. Okay, we have to get it, and then I want to delete it. I hope friend you get some of the idea, because here that is actually our button in our this dev area. So there is one parent, there is also another parent class. Now I want to get both of these. If you want to get both of these, then but I show you, I take one of the constant variable. So there is a constant variable, and I just name it as a task. Okay, I name it as a task, and then into this task area that is a E, and then after that will be as a target, right? So there is a E target. So there is E target, and then we have to call that our parent element, because from to this position we have to go outside two parents element. So that will be as a parent element, and also we have to call again the parent element. Okay, I simply loaded both of this in here, and now if you want to check it, then everything will be more clear into the console log area. Now if you print our this task, okay, that means that is actually our task. Now I want to print it. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, I refresh it, and now if you click as a delete button, you can see it's now perfect. It's perfectly get our first parent, there is a second parent, every total dev is now successfully loaded. I hope friend it's very clear. For the reasons in our E target area, that is our first parent element, and also I access our second parent element, and I take it with this task. Now I want to do, when you click as a delete, this all that our parent element will be deleted, right? So that is the things now we have to do. So if you want to do that work, it's very easy. Only we have to call one of the remove method. Like here right now we don't need this. Here I have already checked it. I hope friend you understand it very clearly. It's very easy if you understand that main code. So now into this task, okay, into this task I want to call as a remove function. That is a remove. Okay, remove function. I simply call this another remove function. So now that will be a remove. Okay, now that will be remove. If you click as a save all, and now if you go, okay, now if you go click as a refresh, I refresh it. Now click as a delete, you can see it's now successfully deleted, and also delete it, it's totally gone. And if you now add new one as a hi Aryan, now click as a add task, task is added, hi Kazi, click as a add task, task is added. If you click as a delete, now that is totally gone. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. So here we successfully complete that delete part, right? Now I want to work in our selected. That means when you click as a selected, that means this task will be as a complete, right? So how can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with the live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully complete the delete portions, right? If you click as a delete, right now our task will be deleted. And now in this video, I want to discuss about another part, like I make it as a hi Kazi, and then I want to add this task, and also want to use another one as a hi Aryan. And now if you click as a add task, now that is the another task, right? Now I want to make it as a clean. Okay, I make it as a clean, and here if you now click as a again inspect, okay, into this inspect, I want to select out this part. that means that is our dev part I want to select it. You can see that is one of the dev, right? So into this dev part area here I want to do like that is our task, right? So into this, after the task I want to add another class as a completed. Okay, I make it as a completed. Now if you click as a enter, now you can see when that is another class as a completed, then that is actually selected. That means this task is now completed. I have already created this class. If you now go to your index CSS and into the index CSS, here you can see that is one of the completed. So for the completed, I have used that as one of the background color, and also I make it as a completed level, as a text decoration will be as a line through. For the reasons you can see when you add this class as a completed, now that is become changed. So now we have to do when you select it. Okay, when you select it, then another class will be added as a completed. So that is the things now we have to do. So for doing this, we have to first of all add that another event listener. So with this event listener, before I have already checked it. When you click as a delete, then we get some of the class. For the update, we get some of the class, and also when you select it, then we get another class, right? So now I want to get it. If you go to our index.js, into the index.js, you can see I have already added that event listener. That is in one of the part in our task list. If you go to our index, into the index, that is our task list. So into this task list, there is another selected class as a task check, right? So there is a task check. I want to get this class, so I simply copy it, and now in our index, okay, into this index here, I want to check it. Same condition here, I want to add another if condition. So that is our if condition, and into this if condition area, that will be the e, and then the target, target, and then the class name. Class name will be, if you want to add this, then what exactly you have to do, that will be the includes, right? So into this includes method, I want to pass our this class name, okay, or class name as a task check. Great. And now I want to add that another UI prototype. That means that will be the UI, and into this UI I want to add another prototype as I name it as a complete task. Okay, complete task. So this type of one of the prototype. And here also I want to do the same things. Here I want to pass our event. Okay, event object, I simply pass it. Now I want to create this prototype as a complete task prototype in our UI. Now go to our UI. Okay, into this UI, that will be just like that same. Here I want to use that again as a UI, and then the prototype. Okay, that will be the prototype, and then our prototype name as a complete task. And then our same as a function, and in this function area I want to pass one of the parameter as an event parameter, and that will be same because I have already get all that our main parent dev, right? I take that things with this variable. I have already discussed about that things with you, so that will be just like that same. Here first of all I want to take it because with this we are able to access our this task list, right? And then here I want to add this class name into the task, right? So here I have already checked it. You can see there is a task, and then that is the completed, and this class will be added. So when you select it, then that will be added. When you unselect it, then our this completed class will be removed. So that will be one of the toggle. Okay, here I want to use that as a toggle. If you go to our again UI, so I take the things with this task. Now simple work into with this task, and then that is one of the what? If you go, then that is one of the class, right? So here if you want to get this class, we have to get it with the class list. So I want to use that as a class list, and into this class list area I want to make it as a toggle. Okay, toggle, and with this toggle now I want to add that our class name that I have already created as a completed, right? So this will be executed. So now I want to simply add it. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. So now with this parent, and to the parent I have already get this task. That means that is will be get or this task list, and into this task list that is our another class as a text, right? So into this area here I have already get it, and now we can see that is our task, and after that our one other class will be added. That means when you select it, then completed class will be added. When you unselect it, then this completed class will be gone. For the reasons here I use that our toggle, and you can see there is a task list, that is one of the class name. I simply get it with the class list, and then that is I run that toggle. Into this toggle area here I have passed that our completed class. Okay, now if you click as a save all, now go there. Now I want to refresh it. Okay, refresh it, and now if you select it, yes, you can see now there is a new class is added as a completed, and if you unselect it, yes, you can see it's now totally gone. Okay, and also it's become again our previous one. You make it as a selected, now that is selected, and also if you make it as an unselect, it's gone. Great. And you can see there is another div, and into this div area task there is a another class as a completed is added, and if you unselect it, that is gone. So friend, here we are able to also successfully complete our this portion, right? The selected rather than unselect, rather than better I want to add a new one as a hi. Okay, hi Aryan. I just simply add another task. Now select this task. Yes, it's successfully working. Delete it. It's successfully deleted. Great. So next video I want to do when you add any new task. Okay, right now after that adding the task, if you clear the refresh, you can see it's not totally gone. So I want to do when you add any new task, this task will be saved in our local storage. I have already discussed about that things with you. There is an application, and that is our local storage, right? So into this local storage area, here I want to add this data. So before our previous data is also here, right now I want to delete it. So I want to add this data in here, and also when you delete it, then that will be also deleted from our local storage. So how can working into the local storage? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our all previous video, here we are able to successfully add new tasks, we are able to successfully complete these tasks, and also we are able to successfully delete this task, right? Now in this video, I want to complete this total part in our local storage. That means when you add any new data, then this data will be inserted in our local storage. So from to the local storage, we'll delete this data, and also we make it as a completed. So if you want to do that work doing this, if you go to our UI, into this UI from to this prototype, we'll add this data, right? In particular data position, we add this data before. Now I want to add all the data in our local storage. So, and for the local storage, I have already created another file, and that is the local storage, right? That is a local storage.js. So our first work is we have to include, right? We have to include this local storage from here. I have already export that ls, that means the local storage. We have to input it in our UI, because from to this prototype we insert this data, right? We have add this data before. Now I want to include it. So if you want to include, then what exactly you have to do? Then first of all, that will be import. Okay, import, and then our name as a ls, and then that will be as a from, right? So that will be as a from, and from our which position, that is, it will be the same place. That means the dot, and then our name as a local storage.js. Okay, I simply load it. And now I want to create another object. Okay, I want to create another local storage object. So after this, I want to name it as a constant. So I want to take one of the variable as a constant variable, and I name it as a ls. Okay, and then I want to create another object as a new, and then our ls object. So I simply created this object. Okay friend, here I simply created one of the object for our local storage. And now I want to add another prototype. Okay, here after this, in our this function area, here to this function area, I want to add another prototype, and I just name it as a ls. And then I want to do with this ls, I want to add another prototype, and I just name it as a store task. Okay, store task. So that is a store task. So into this store task area, here I want to pass out this task. Okay, that means when we add this, I have already discussed about that things with you. Now I simply pass it in with the parameter as the area as a task. Now we have to create this prototype in our ls. Now go to our ls. That means that is our ls, right? So I want to do, right now we don't need this. I want to add our this name as a ls, and then our prototype, right? So into the ls, that is our prototype name. I have already created one of the prototype name in our UI as a store task. I want to add that as a store task. Okay, so into this store task, that will be as a function. I simply loaded one of the function. Okay, I simply loaded the function. Our first job is we have to check it. Is there have any data in here or not? Before I have already discussed about that, this type of one of the things. Like first of all, we have to check it, and also all that our that stores data, that will be one of the JSON data, right? We have to change it, we have to convert it to the array data. So if you want to convert it to the array data, then we have to use it as a JSON first, right? So I want to do first of all, I want to complete this part. Here I want to declare another one. Okay, I want to declare another prototype. I just name it as a ls, and then that is our prototype. Okay, just simply understand what exactly the things I am doing in here. So I take one of the prototype name as a fetch. Okay, fetch task. It will be get all that our data. So if you want to get this data, then that will be as a function, and with this function I want to call it, and then that will be I want to get all that items. So if you want to get this item, there is another method as a get item, right? So I take one of the variable, I name it as a task. So now I want to do in our local storage. So into this local storage, I want to get all that our item, and I want to check it with this as a is there have any task or not. Okay, I make it as a task. So is there have any tags or not? With this it will be check it. Okay, it will be check it, and it will be take that things all the data in here in our this variable. Now also we have to change it, because as I told you, when you store any data into the local storage, that will be one of the JSON format data, right? Now we have to get this data, and we have to convert it. So I have already get all the data. So that means in our local storage with this get item, I get all the data. I take the things with this variable. Now I want to change it, and all the data right now into the JSON format data, right? I want to change it. That means if I want to put another if condition, if there have any data, right? If there have any data, then I want to change it, right? So that will be our with this task. Okay, with this task I want to change it. That will be as a JSON which method as a first method. So now with this first method, our JSON data will be converted to the array data, right? So I simply take the things in here. So all that our data in our that position, that means this data, it will be parsed. Now that will be our JSON data converted to the array data, right? And else, okay, sorry, that will be as a else, and else it will be I want to pass one of the empty object. Okay, that means our tags into this tags area, I want to pass one of the empty object. Simple work. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. And now from to this position, I want to return it. That means return. So that will be the return. I want to return our this task. Okay, I simply return this task. Okay, great. And now we have to work in particular that position. So that is our prototype. I have already declared in our UI, right? So that is our storage data, and all that our storage data, right? So that is our all that storage data. I pass it with this parameter as a task. Now we have to take it. I want to pass it into this function area. So that is our task. So right now all the tasks is in here, and also first of all we have to check it, right? We have to check it. I have already created another prototype as a fetch task. Now first of all I want to access it. So if you want to access it, then what exactly you have to do? But I take one of the variable. I just name it as a task. Okay, I name it as a task, and then if you want to access another there is another prototype in here. So right now then we have to use it with the this keyword. Remember, there is a this keyword, and then our fetch task method, I simply access it. Great. And now with this automatically we will be check it. If there have any data, then that will be converted. Rather than now I want to store this data, right? If you want to store this data, and that will be stored into the first position. For the reason there is another method as an unshift method. Remember, now into this task area, okay, into this task area I want to use that as an unshift. Okay, unshift method, I simply call this unshift method, and into this unshift method area, here I want to pass our this all storage data, right? So that is our another storage data. That means in our UI, so that is our storage data. Okay, so here I simply loaded that things in here into this unshift. That means our last data will be inserted first. Okay, I simply load it. Great. And now we have to store this data. So if you want to store this, then in our local storage, all the data will be as a JSON format data, right? So now into this local storage, I want to do with the set item method, I want to store our which data. I want to store our this task data, right? Here I want to store this task data, and also here we have to convert it, because that will be one of the JSON format data. So that will be the JSON and then strify, right? That is stringify. With this stringify, I want to do and to stringify our which data. I want to stringify our this tax data, right? So that is our tax data. I simply stringify it. Great. So I hope every line, every part is very much clear to you. Okay, so it's very easy, all that process. I have already done all that fundamental, as I told you, that will be needed, and now you can see how much easily we can do that work. Now if you want to check it, click as a save all, and now if you go right now, our local storage is empty. I want to add new one as a high Aryan. Okay, I name this as a high Aryan. Now if you click as a add task, yes, you can see it's now successfully add this task. You can see there is a task. If you select it, you can see it's converted to the array. So that is a ID is now successfully added. That is completed as a false and title as a high Aryan. Okay, so right now this task is stored successfully into this local storage, right? And you can see that is our task and that is our all that object array data. That means right now we are successfully able to insert this data in our local storage. Now we have to make that is you can see there is also one of the is completed as a false. Now we have to make it as a selected, and also we have to delete it, right? So how can do that work? But I want to continue this process in our next video. I will show you that things with the live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, from here right now we are able to successfully add the tags in our local storage, right? You can see there is a 0 index, there is a 1 index, all the data. Great. Now I want to delete it. That means when you click as a delete, specific this ID related, our specific this tags will be deleted. Simple work. Like if you want to do that work like in our local storage, okay, into this local storage I want to create another prototype. Okay, I name it as a ls, and then that will be as a prototype, and I just name that prototype as a delete task. Okay, delete task. So that is our delete task, and then our function, right? So that will be the same, our function, and into this function area now we have to pass that ID, right? Because we have to delete it with a specific one of the ID. That means they have one of the ID, and for this task there is another ID. So now I want to pass one of the ID in here. That is our parameter. Into this parameter I want to pass one of the ID. Okay, and I have already get all that our fetch data, right? I have already get all that our fetch data with our the same method that I have already take it with the fetch task, right? I copy it. Now first of all I want to load all that our tax data, that means which is already in our local storage. So I have take it with this variable, which is totally fine. And now we have to check it, right? I take one of the variable, I just name it as an index. Okay, index, and then this task. So into this task area with our find index method, remember I have already discussed about that things with you. That is a find index on the method. So now into this find index method I want to first of all check our task. Okay, so I make it as a task. Okay, I make it as a task. So into this task area now I want to check it. Here I want to put one of the condition. Okay, I want to put that condition when our task, okay, when our task and tax ID, when this tax ID will be equal our ID. Okay, that means that is a parameter I have passed it as ID. When that will be match, right? When it's, so I want to get this match data, take the things with this index. Great. And now I want to splash it. That means only one data will be deleted, right? So now with this task I want to access that our splice method. Okay, splice. Okay, splice method I want to declare it. That means here it should be deleted. Which one? It should be deleted one by one, right? So I want to do the index. I have already get our when that will be match. I take the things with this variable. So now when that will be match, then there is a index data, and I want to delete it by the 1. That means 1 by 1 that will be deleted. Now we have to pass this information in our local storage. So now that will be the local storage, and then the set item method, and into this method I want to get all that our task. Okay, that is our task, and I want to make it as a JSON string file again. That will be actually just like that same, but I copy it. Okay, copy it, and then I want to pass it. Great. So here I simply pass it. I hope every part is very much clear to you. So here I have created this prototype as a delete task. Now in our UI, okay, into this UI area I have already created the delete task. You can see there is a delete task. I have already created this part, and here, as I told you before, when you there is a task means what? When you click as a delete, then that will be return one of the class name, right? If you want to also check it again, like I make it as a console log, okay, console, and then the console log area, if you want to check it again, what exactly that task actually returned, I simply add it. Okay, now if you click as a save all, and now if you go, now I want to do and to refresh it. Okay, I refresh it, and now go to that console. If you go to that console, and here if you click as a delete, now you can see here that is one of the attribute as the date, and into this date attribute here, that is actually our ID. So if you want to access this data created date, that is one of the attribute, and into this attribute area, that is our ID. So if you want to access it, you can also access it like, you know, do the console log. First of all, I want to show you that is our task, and then there is a data set. Okay, that will be as a data set. So there is a data set, and then our attribute name. Our attribute name here I name it as a create date. Okay, create date. I copy it. And now if you make it as a create date, so now that should be display. Okay, now that should be display. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go, now I refresh it again, and now I'm done to delete it. You can see it's now successfully get our ID. Okay, that means in our data attribute area, that is all that our ID. Now we are able to successfully get this ID. Better I want to do and to take it right now one of the variables. So I copy it, and right now I remove it. Okay, so now I take one of the constant variable. So there is a constant variable. I name it as ID, and then that will be our task and data set, and then our data attribute name. Okay, I simply take it. Great. And now I want to remove it, right? I want to remove it, our ls. Into this ls area, I have already created one of the prototype. Our prototype name I have created as a delete task, right? So I want to copy it, and then that will be as a delete task. So into this delete task area, here I want to pass our ID. Okay, so I simply pass this ID, and here I have already passed that function as a ID, and with this we will check it, and then that will be delete one by one. Okay friend, I hope every part is very much clear to you. Okay, so here I simply done this work, and then there is our ID, I pass it, and then our task will be removed. So that's all. Now if you click as a save all, I want to check it. Now go there, now go to our, better I refresh it, and then go to our application. Into this application, right now I want to add another one as a new one. Okay, I make it as a new one, click as a add ID. Now there is a 3. Right, I want to delete it. Now click as a delete. So our delete is not working. Okay, here it's not working because of all. If you go, so there is our prototype delete function. Everything is look like great, but they have some of the issues. Could not find the name ls. Did you mean that ls? Okay, here it's not getting this our function. There is also another UI. This constructor function may be the converted to the access declaration. Okay, that is our function, right? So into this function is started from here to end in here. So right now we don't need this. I want to make this outside of this. I cut it, and then I want to finish it in here. Okay, now there is ls, and now let's check this out. Our this arrow is now totally gone. Now it's perfectly get our this ls. Okay, now it's get this ls before I add the things in our this UI function area. So right now I created this object after this function, which is totally fine. Now let's check this out. Click as a save all, and now if you go, I want to refresh it again. There is another one. I want to add new one. Okay, new one. Click as a add task. So new task is added. And now this task name as this one, that is our last, is display into the first, right? That is our last one. Now if you click as a delete, you can see it's now successfully removed, and also it's successfully removed from here. Okay, from to the local storage. Now it's successfully deleted. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. If you want to add new one as a my name, okay, my name is Aryan. So now that is our new task. I click as a add task. Now this task will be available. You can see there is a last as a my name is Aryan, which is totally fine. Okay, which is totally fine. There is our 0 index data. So now if you want to delete it, you delete it, and you can see it's not totally gone. Okay, that means we are able to successfully delete this data from our local storage. I hope friend it's very much clear to you how to do this work. Is very easy, all that process actually. We simply call this prototype, and here I pass that ID, and into this ls, in this ls area I simply pass all that our condition. When that will be matched, a specific ID will be matched, then that will be deleted, and it will be deleted one by one. Okay, great. In our next video, I want to continue this process, and then there is another part I want to complete as a complete and incomplete, right? Here, this functionality, for this functionality, I want to add this code in our local storage. So how can do that work? But I want to show you that things with a live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we are able to successfully delete this task from our local storage, right? Now there is another issue, our select and unselect. So into the select and unselect, what exactly we have to do? Simple work. If you go to our task chest, you can see there is also I have created another property as is complete, and I make it as a false. So simple work I want to do, when you select it, then that will be before that was a false, so I want to make these things change as a true, and rather than when you click as a unselect, then again change to the false. Okay, so simple condition now I want to apply. So if you want to do that work, first of all in our local storage, okay, into the local storage we have to do this work, right? I want to create another prototype for this. That will be as ls, right? And into this ls I want to add that another prototype, so that will be as a prototype, and I just name it as a complete task. Okay, complete task. Okay, I name it as a complete task, and then that will be one of the function, and into this function area here that will be same, because here we have to check and uncheck it by the ID, right? For the reasons here I want to do and to pass one of the ID. Great. So our procedure will be just like that same. First of all I want to say fetch all the data, and also it will be check it when our task will be matched with our ID, then that will be executed, right? So the same things, but I copy it from here and then I paste it. Okay, I simply paste it in particular that position. Great. And after that there is our ID. I get the things with this index, and now I want to check it. Okay, I want to check it, is that actually completed or not? So here in our task, by default I make this is complete property as a false. Now I want to change it. So after this, okay, after this I put on the if condition. Okay, into this if condition area here, when our this task, okay, so that is our task. So with the when I have already fetch all the data with this variable, right? Now when this our task starts, and here there is an index value, I want to pass on the index, so there is an index value. When this index value property will be as is complete. Okay, that means if that is actually complete, I want to change it. Okay, that is our task. So that is our task index is complete will be changed to false. Okay, so I make it as a false. Great. And else it will be as a true. I want to do, and then that will be the same. I want to make it as a true. Okay, so simple work. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. So now this updated all that information I want to update in our local storage. So same things, I copy it, and after this, okay, after this I want to do and save it in our local storage. Now we have to work in our UI. Now go to our UI.js, and here I have already created as is completed. Remember? So into this is completed here, that will be same. I have already get that our parent, and then that will be same, but I copy it. Okay, I copy it and I paste it. So that is our ID, because we need this our ID, right? So I simply get this ID, and now I want to do our is, and then I have created our prototype. I created that prototype name as a complete task. I copy it, so that will be as a complete task. Okay, in this complete task area I simply pass this ID. So now if you click as a save all, that's all. Now let's check this out. I click as a refresh, and I want to add new one as a this is new. Okay, new one. I make it as a this is new one. Add this task. Now first of all I want to check it, is it storage or not? Yes, you can see that is a this is new one. So there is a new one is first index. Now if you make it as a check mark, you can see it's now become check mark. And if you now go, you can see in our is complete, by default that was as a false. Right now that is updated as a true. If you make it as unmarked and now go there, you can see it's again become changed as a false. Okay friend, if you check it, and that means check mark it, our is completed is updated, this property updated value as a true. Right now when we click as a unmark, then that will be again as a false. You can see that is a false. Great. So that is the simple condition I have applied in our local storage. That means right now we are able to successfully change this data. Our is completed by default, that will be as a false, else that will be as a true. Okay, simple work. I hope friend every part is very much clear to you. How I did this work is very easy, all that process, just you have to practice it. Without practice that will be a little bit complicated to you, but when you practice it, everything will be very clear. In our next video I want to discuss about another issue, like in our local storage that have all that our data, right now they have already, I have added another data as a this is new one, but when you refresh this page you can see it's not totally gone. So now I want to do it's already saved in our local storage. So this local storage data I want to get it and I want to visible it in here. How can do this job? In our next video I will show you that things with a live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully complete our check mark, right? That means that is completed, we successfully complete this part. Now in this video, I want to do in our local storage that have some of the data, right? So this all the data now I want to do and to get it, and here I want to visible it. Okay, that means right now there is static data is visible. Now I want to do and to get our this all the data. So if you want to get it, is very easy, all that process we have to do in our UI. Okay, into this UI area I want to create another prototype. Better here. Okay, after this I want to create another prototype, that is our UI. So after this I want to name it as a UI. Okay, that will be the UI, and into this UI area I want to declare another prototype name, and I just name it as a show. Okay, show all task. So this type of one of the prototype I simply created, and that will be as a function. I hope you already remember that part. That is our function. So into this function area, first of all we have to get it, right? I have already get all the data. If you go to our local storage, into this local storage I have created another prototype as a fetch task. So with this fetch task I get all the data, and here I return this task, right? So that is our return task. Now we are able to access it. So if you want to access it in our UI, then simple, I take one of the variable and I just name it as a task. So I name it as a task, and into this task area that is in our local storage. So into this local storage I want to do and to access our method as a fetch task. Okay, I simply loaded this method. I have already created our local storage one of the object. I take the things with this variable. Now we are with this variable we are able to access our local storage one of the prototype method as a fetch task. Now I simply load it. Okay, I hope everything is very clear. So now I have already fetched all the data. So this data I want to display in particular this div. Okay, here that is div means if you go to our index HTML, you can see that is actually our task, right? So that is our task div that is started from here, that is ended. So now I want to load our this div. So if you want to load it, is very easy, all that process. I hope you already know about it. So that I first of all I take one of the empty string. Okay, I name it as a new HTML. I name it as a new HTML, and here I declare one of the empty string. Okay, into this empty string area all that our fetch data I want to insert. So if you want to do that work, that will be here with this task, right? With this task we get all the data. Now I want to add that as a for each, because that will be loop all that one by one data. So I make it as a for each. Okay, for each. So into this for each here I pass that parameter as a task. Okay, I pass this task, and into this task area I loaded our array function. And now I want to do one by one that will be added, right? So that is a new all that HTML object. I have already created one of the empty string. In here I want to add one by one all the data, right? So but I use that as a backtick. I simply loaded this backtick. Okay, so into this backtick area now I want to load our this div. Okay, so I simply select it. You can see that is started and that is our ended div. So now I want to copy all the div. I copy it. Now in our UI, in our this backtick area, here I want to do and to paste it. Okay, simple. So that is our backtick started and then backtick ended. Okay, I put some of the semicolon and also add that semicolon. Great. So now that is our div. this div now I want to do and to load, right? So right now that is all that our static data. Like here we have to add that as a ID, and then there is our title. So first of all I want to display the title. If you go to our task, into this task, you can see there is the ID property, title, and then the is complete. So now to display this title, if you want to display it, and then here what exactly you have to do, I think you already know about it. So that will be as a $sign, right? First of all there is a $sign, and then that will be as a curly bracket. Into this curly bracket, right now in our for each I have passed that parameter as a task. For every data right now into this task, right, I make it as a task. Okay, task, and into this task area I want to access this title. Okay, now our title should be display, right? So for the checkbox, if you go to the our task, there is also another property as is complete, right? So here I have already added some of the condition. It should be check that will be false or not, right? Or when it should be false, then that will be as a true, rather than that will be as a again false. Right now that is our property. I want to do when that means this, or if you want to add any task, if this task is already one of the is completed as a true, then that will be as a selected, right? So here I want to add this condition. I want to add another condition in here. Okay, that means in our input field. If you want to do that work, what exactly you have to do, that will be as a $sign and then the curly bracket area. So right now every data in our task, right? So into this task, with this task I want to access our property name as a is complete. Okay, when this is complete, that means when that will be as a selected, then that I want to do, then that will be as a then, and then I want to make it as a, there is another attribute as a checked. Okay, checked, then that will be as a checked, and else it will be as a empty. Okay, so I simply loaded this condition. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. And now also I want to do, that is our ID, right? ID will be same here, that will be the $sign, and then into the curly bracket that will be as a task, and with this task that will be our ID. Okay, here if you go, there is our name, ID, title, and is complete. Great. Our ID will be visible, and then also here I have already discussed about that things with you. After that task, that means when that will be as a selected, here it's added another class. Remember, as a completed class. If you go here, I have already done this work. You can see there is a new class is added as a completed, right? Now I want to add the same condition. Okay, I want to add the same condition here. And that means there is this condition, but I copy this condition again, I copy it, and now after that task, okay, that should be added another class. So that is our task, and with this task, when that will be is completed, I want to add another attribute class that will be as a completed. Okay, completed class I want to add, so that will be one of the string. Here I want to simply make it one of the string as a completed. Okay, I simply added this string. So when that will be as a completed, then that will be as a updated one of the class name as a completed, else it will be as a empty. Okay, I make it as a empty. Great. So that's all you have to do. I hope friend you get this ideas. It's very easy. One of the condition when our is completed will be as a completed, then that will be added on the class name as a completed, else that is our else, and then that will be as a empty. Great. And right now here that is our div, right? That is our task div, and now we have to add this task div in our another mother. You can see that is our task list. Here we have to add it, right? So if you want to add it, I have already do a lot of work like that, like here. Okay, after this I want to do here, that will be, first of all we have to get this our class name, right? So that will be as a document, and then into this document with this query selector, and with this query selector I want to get this our class name here, that is what? That is the task list, because into this class here we have to add this div, right? I have already get this div. Now we have to add this, that is our total div. We have to add it in our this class div area, right? So simple work. And that is our class name. I copy it, and now I want to add this class name, right? And then we have to add this with the inner, that will be inner HTML. That is inner HTML, and our inner HTML will be our which one? Inner HTML will be our, I have already get our total div with our this is empty string as a new HTML. So now that will be our new HTML. Great. So I hope every part is very much clear to you. So now that is our prototype, right? That is a prototype as a show all tags. Now this prototype, when that will be loaded, when this page will be refreshed, then here it's for the first time that will be loaded, right? For the reasons in our index.js, and into this index.js, that is our UI. Okay, after this here I want to load it. So I have already created one of the object for the UI. Now with this UI I want to load our this method. That means this prototype I simply loaded. Okay friend, now that should be loaded first time. Now click as a save all. Now go to our page. Now refresh it. Now you can see now there is our 3 data. So there is this is a new one, there is a new one, and there is add. So all the data now is successfully visible in here. So right now if you refresh it, you can see all the data is the same. And if you also check it, like I check mark it and also I check mark both of these. So right now our status should be updated as is completed as a true, and that is also true. And now if you refresh it, now you can see it's not become change. Everything is updated successfully. Okay, right now everything is great. That means everything is working from our local host. I hope friend every part is very much clear to you. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video from our local storage, we successfully get all the data and visible it in our page, right? Now in this video I want to discuss about there is another edit portion. Okay, so here first of all we have to get this edit class. That will be the same procedure that I have done before. If you go to our index.html, and for the edit, you can see for the edit they have one of the class name as a tags of edit. First of all, I want to get it with using that event listener, right? If you go to now in our index, into this index, I have already you can see I have already get that add event listener. That will be as a click one of the type, and also before I includes with this all that our class name. That means it will be checked this class name is included in here or not, right? So now let's do that work. For doing this I want to add another if condition that will be just like that same here with this event, and then the target, right? With this event target I want to check our class name. Is there have any class name included in here as a this name or not? Okay, so now I want to add this class name. So if there have any class name included in our here, then I want to call another prototype that will be just like that same in our UI. Into this UI area I want to create another prototype as a edit. Okay, I name it as edit task. So that will be as edit task. And into this edit task area here same I want to pass our event object data. So I simply pass it. Great. Now I want to create this prototype as edit text prototype in our UI. If you now go to our UI, into this UI area, now I want to do after this I want to create another prototype. Okay, that will be as a UI, and into this UI area that will be as a prototype, and our prototype name that will be as a edit task, right? And then I want to call one of the function. Okay, I want to call this function. So that is our function, and in this function area I want to pass that our event as a E. Now what exactly the things I want to do? Like if you go to our project, and into this project area here when you click as a edit, that is one of the title, right? This title I want to visible in here. So if you want to get that a specific one title, that means if you click it in here, this title will be loaded. If you click it in here, then that is another title, this title will be loaded, right? So how can actually get this data? You can get it by the ID, because ID is the totally different. So for the reasons here we have to store this data. So I want to create another hidden one of the input field, and into this hidden input field area I want to load this ID, and then our title, we specific this ID title I want to display in here. I hope friend you get this concept, what exactly the things I want to do in particular that position. So for doing this I want to go to our that is index.html. Into this index.html there have one of the input field, you can see that is our input field, right? So in particular that position I want to create one of the another input field. Okay, I name it as a input, so that will be as the input. Okay, and this input field here I want to do first of all I want to make one of the type. Our type will be as a hidden because that should be not display. Okay, for the reasons I make it as a hidden. And also I want to put one of the name as a update task. Okay, I name it as a update task. So I put one of the name for this input field as update task, and also I want to pass one of the ID because here also we need that ID. I name that as a update task ID. Okay, I name it as a update task ID. Great. So that is one of the input field. I pass the type will be as a hidden type, name will be as a update task, and also I pass one of the ID as a update task ID. Now if you want to check it, click as a save all, and now if you go click as a refresh, I refresh it, and now you can see our this input field is not visible. But if you make it as a with the inspect, and into this inspect area if you select it, okay, that is one of the div, and you can see there is another input field as a hidden, right? So that is our hidden field. Perfect, but that is not display because of all I make this type as a hidden. And now we have to get that ID. So if you select this part, that means this task, every task, like that is one of the tasks, just simply understand where exactly that position, like that is our first div as a task, right? And also there is another one is a checkbox, and then that is our level. So into this level, that is our title, right? So this title we have to get it, and then we have to visible it in here. Right, friend? So first of all we have to get the same things before I have already done, like that is one of the, for this level that is one of the parent class. You can see there is one of the parent class, and also there is our another parent class. So with this we will first of all I want to get it, and then I want to access our this data create date, that is our ID, right here, that is our ID. So now if you want to access it for the first time, what exactly you have to do in our UI. Okay, into this UI area, you can see I have already done the same things before. With this, we will get that our parent element, that is a 2 parent element. I simply get the 2 parent element, take the things with this variable, and now I want to get this ID. You can see I have already did the same things. Now I want to get this ID because that is onto the same location. Okay, so now with this tags, and then the data set, and that is our create date. Okay, you can see that is our create date. So now with this, that will be our ID. I get this ID, I take the things with this variable. And now I want to do, that is our ID. Okay, this ID now I want to match with our local storage ID. Okay, that is all into a local storage. That is also one of the ID for a specific this task, right? Now I want to get this our local storage ID. So if you want to get it, like I take one of the constant variable, I just name it as a data. Okay, and into this data, then that is a local storage. So into this local storage, I want to declare another prototype as a find task. Okay, I name it as a find task, and into this find task area here I pass that our ID. Okay, I have already get this ID, that means there is also one of the ID for this task, that is one of the ID. Now that the ID, I take it, and now I simply pass it in our this prototype area in our local storage. So now I want to create this prototype as a find task prototype in our local storage. Now go to our local storage. Into this local storage, I have already done the same things. You can see that will be actually just like that same better after this. After this, I name it as a local storage. Okay, that will be a local storage, and then that will be our prototype name as a find task, and then that will be as a function. And into this function area, I want to pass our this ID that I have already passed into the parameter. So now that is our ID. Great. So here what exactly you have to do, first of all, if you want to get our local storage ID, because that is one of the ID, and also in the local storage actually they have on the ID. So if you want to get this ID, first of all we have to get all the data. That means we have to fetch all the data from our which place, from our local storage, right? You can see into the local storage already they have all the data. So if you want to fetch this, that will be just like that same. Okay, and also you can see there is the same condition. It should with this, it should be check it, right? But I copy both of this, and here I paste it. I hope you already know about it. So with this fetch task method prototype I have already created. So now with this we'll get that all that our local storage data, and then I want to put one of the conditions. So here better I want to return it from to this position. So if you want to return, that will be the return. Okay, I make it as a return, and return takes our find method. So I make it as a find. Okay, only find, and then that is our task, and then there is array function. And with this task, that means that is our local storage data, right? Local storage data ID. That means what? In our local storage, they have also one of the ID, right? You can see that is one of the ID, like as a zero index ID. So this zero index ID will be matched with our here, that is also one of the ID, right? Which ID I have already get it in our UI. So from the UI I have already get that ID. Remember, when that will be match, okay, that is our local storage ID, when that will be equal match with our parameter, because in here I have already passed that things into this parameter area, right? Now when that will be as a match, then I will simply return it. Okay, from to this position I simply return this result. Now I want to do in our UI, so into this UI area here, now I want to visible it. Okay, that means if you go to our index.html, for our this input field here, I want to display this title, right? For the reasons here we need this ID. So that is our new task ID. First of all, I want to get this data with the query selector, like here. After this, okay, here I want to add the documents. I hope, friend, now step by step everything is become very clear. Now that is our query selector. Into this query selector, first of all I want to get this ID. If you want to get this ID, that will be a hash, right? And then our ID, I want to get that ID value. Okay, so that is our ID value, and this value will be our which things I have already get all the things in our data, because I have already declared it, right? It will be match, and I from here I return this task. Now that is everything in our data. Now into this data area, with this data I want to access our property name as a title. I simply loaded this title, and also I want to get our another one, our updated task ID. So I simply paste it. If you go to our index.html and into this index.html, for the updated, there is also another input field I have added. You can see that is our input field ID as a updated task ID. So I copy it, and now I want to add this updated task ID in here. Great. Now that will be what? That will be our ID. So I simply add that our data ID. I hope it's very clear. So in our hidden field, hidden input field area, it should be loaded that ID, which ID you actually selected. Okay, and then our title will be visible in our new task. So I simply loaded that our title. That means right now if you click as a save all, and now if you go now click as a refresh, now our this when you click as edit, that is the title will be loaded in here. Now click as edit. Yes, you can see it's now loaded, and you click this one is loaded, and also click this one is loaded. And into this position, that is one of the another hidden field, and into this hidden field area here, that will be loaded our ID. So now I want to do when this data will be ready for the edit, and that is one of the button as a add task. If you go to our UI, that means in our index.html, there have also another two of this button, like here. After that you can see that is the button is display, and also there is another button as a edit task, another one as a cancel. But right now I make that two of these as a display none, for the reasons two of this button is not display. So I want to do when that will be as a edit, these two of these buttons should be display. So if you want to do that work, is very easy. Now go to our UI, and into this UI I want to get both of these data. Better I copy it, and after that I paste it. Okay, so into this area, first of all I want to get our first ID. So that is the ID as a add task button. So now I want to make it as a add task button. Okay, so that is one of the ID. So that is one of the class, right? So that is one of the class. For the reasons here we have to make it as a dot. That is our class name. And into this class name I want to add on the inline CSS. So here that means when it should be perfectly get this data, that means then our this prototype will be executed. I want to use that as a style. So that will be style. I want to use that style as a display. Okay, display. I want to make this display as a none. Okay, then that will be as a none class. I hope it's very clear. And rest of these two of this our property, that means two of this class will be as a inline. Okay, then that means when there have any data, this one will be as a display none, and both of these will be as a inline. So I want to do that is our another class as a edit button task. So this edit button task, that will be as a style display will be as an inline. Okay, that will be as inline, and also this one will be as an inline, and here there is another class name as a cancel task button. Okay, I copy it, then that will be our another class cancel task button. So this button will be style display will be as a inline. Great. So friend, now that should be work. Now click as a save all, and now if you go now refresh it, now click as a edit. Yes, you can see it's now perfectly updated. Right now what exactly happening, I hope you understand it, because right now they have one of the data, right? There is this already called our this prototype as edit task. When that will be executed, our add task will be as a none, and rest of this class as a edit task button, and then cancel task button style display will be inline. For the reasons you can see, it's now display both of these. Okay, edit task and then the cancel, click it in here, it's also successfully visible. So now we have to edit, that means we have to update this data, and also from here if you cancel it, then that will be gone. So how can do that work? Better to continue this process. In our next video I will show you that things with the live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully able to display all that our edit data, right? If you select it, then that will be updated, and also when you click as edit, then that will be display two of this button as edit task and then the cancel. Now first of all I want to work in our edit task. Okay, so when you click as edit, then after if you want to change any data, and after that if you click as edit this task, then that will be updated in our local storage. So for doing this, first of all we have to get our two of this class, right? If you want to get it here, we have to create two of this event listener, and that will be obviously on the click. Now let's do that work. For doing this in our index, okay, into the index I want to do after that, okay, after that I want to first of all create two of this event listener. First of all I want to add the document, and the document our query selector. With this query selector, first of all I want to get that our class name, right? So that will be our class name. If you go to our index, into the index, that is our two of this button as edit task and then the cancel, and you can see there is a one button, there is another button. So first of all I want to get our this class name, and this button class name as edit task button. I copy it. Now in our index I simply load it. Okay, and then I want to add that as an event listener. There is a add, okay, add event listener, and that will be our type. Our type will be as a click, right? That will be as a click type, and then I want to pass that one of the function. Okay, here there is an array function. I simply pass it. Great. And also into particular that position I want to pass one of the event object, and then also the same things now I want to add that our another class, because they have the two class, right? I copy it and then I paste it. Now our another class for the cancel as a cancel task button, I copy it, and then I name it as a cancel task button. Now in our UI, I want to create another prototype. Okay, so for the edit I want to create another prototype with our UI, and then the update I name it as update task. Okay, update task, and then into this area I want to pass our event. I simply pass it that event. And also for the cancel, okay, for the cancel I want to do the same things here. That is our UI, and with this UI I want to create as another one as a cancel. Okay, cancel and cancel task. I name it as a cancel task, and also here I pass that as event. So here I'm actually using the UI as I told you before. I hope you already remember, because I have already created on the UI object, right? I take that things with this variable as a UI. For the reasons with this, now I want to create two of this prototype as an update task and then the cancel task. Now I want to create this prototype as a update task in our UI. Now go to our UI, and here, okay, here after this I want to create another one, and that will be as a UI and then the prototype, and then our prototype name I name it as an update task, right? And then that will be on the function. So I simply loaded this function, and in this function area there is one of the event, and then that is our function. Great. So into this function area, what exactly we have to do? Like if you go, when you click as a edit, okay, when you click as a edit, and here I have already created one of the hidden input field, right? Into this hidden input field there is one of the ID. I have already added one of the ID in our this position, that is one of the input field ID, and with this I want to first of all check it. Okay, one by one we have to actually check all that our task data. If it's match with our ID, then that will be updated, right? So for the reasons here, we need the title and also we need that our ID. So I take one of the variable, okay, I take one of the constant. With this constant, I take one of the variable as a task, okay, task ID. I name it as a task ID. And then we need another one, our title will be needed, right? For the title, I take another variable as a constant variable, and here I name that as a task, okay, task title. So I name it as a task title. Okay friend, I hope it's very clear. So now where exactly our ID and where exactly our title? So I have already take it, you can see before I have already take that our title value and that is our ID value. So now our ID will be our this one, that means that is actually our ID value. I simply copy it and here I paste it, that is our ID value, and that is our title value, right? I want to take this title value, I simply loaded this title value. Right friend, I hope it's very much clear to you. So now we need that our title, right? That means if you go here, that is will be updated. So now that is our title. I want to get this title. If you go to our index, into this index, that is, you can see that is actually our all the title, and for the title that is one of the class as a task title. So I want to take this task title because here we have to update, right? Now I want to do better. After that, I take another variable as a constant variable and I just name it as a task. I name it as a task, and then that will be as a document, and then the query selector, and into this query selector I want to get this title as a task title. Okay, I simply loaded this task title and I take the things with this variable. Great. And now we have to check it, right? We have to check, that will be check one by one, that is that our title is exist or not. Here we have to check it, and also after that we have to also check our IDs match or not, right? If you want to do that work, I want to do after that, I take that our task, okay, that is our task, and with this task I want to add that our for each loop, because here we have to check one by one, and we have to check it by which things? We have to check it by the title. Okay, that is our property. I pass it as one of the parameter as a title, and into this title area here, first of all I want to put another condition. Okay, if and here if you want to access our ID, that means right now if you go to our index, because that is actually our ID, right? If you want to access this ID, then what exactly that will be do? It should be check like there is our one class, that is our another parent class, and that is our another parent class. First of all, we have to access this class, and then we have to access this ID, right? And this ID will be, I have already discussed about that things with you, that will be as a data set, and then the created date, remember? So now I want to add this, that means if, and with our this title, then that will be as a parent. Okay, that is a parent element, and that is a first parent element, right? That is our hello world, that means first parent element as this one, and that is our another parent element as a task. So now we have to add both of this, again the parent element, and then the data, right? That is a data set, and with this data set that will be as a create date, right? You can see there is a create date, one of the class. You can see there is a create date, one of the argument here. Now I want to simply add it. With this, now I want to put that condition when it will be equal, that means this title, when that will be equal our ID, right? Because what exactly that things is happening, like when you click as edit, okay, first of all, one by one that will be check all that our title is match or not, and also into this title there have also one of the ID. This ID will be when that will be a match, that means title, and then ID when that will be as a match. Our ID will be what? I have already taken that our ID with this variable, and that is our ID. Okay, here it should be check, and after that in our if condition area, here I want to add one of the inner text. So into this title, and then I want to add that inner, okay, inner text, that will be the inner, okay, inner text. So I make it as an inner text, and into this inner text area I want to update our simple work. I have already get that value, so here that will be updated. Okay, that is our title will be updated. Okay friend, I hope it's very much clear to you what exactly the things I have done in particular that position. And also here we have to check the same things, like some of the times when you click as edit, and after that if you make it as empty, I don't want to update any empty value. Okay, that will be neither, then that will be replaced with the empty. So if you want to add it, I hope you already remembered that part, like that is our total condition. Here I simply copy it, or rather than I cut it. Okay, I cut it, and I want to pass one of the if condition into this if condition area. Here what exactly it should be do, our task title, that is a task title, right? And with this task title I want to run our length, right? That is our length property. When it should be greater than 0, okay, then that will be display. So here I simply want to do, I want to paste it, okay, so then that will be actually executed. Great. So that's all. So with this you cannot able to add any empty title, okay. Here it should be check it our task title, so that is our task title. When that will be checked that our length, you can see spelling mistakes, that is a length th, right? That is a length. When this length will be as a greater than 0, then our this total task will be replaced with our new task, okay. I simply updated this part. Now let's check this out. It should be work. Now click on the save all. Now go there. Now and refresh it. Like right now, this is a new one. Okay, I click as the edit and I make it as a this is a new 2. Okay, I make it as a this is a new 2. Now this data will be replaced with our previous data. That means here that is actually our title. You can see there is a title as a this is new 1. So now that should be updated. That means that should be replaced our this data. Now click as the edit task. Now you can see it's not updated. It's not updated because of all that is actually the multiple data, right? Maybe I get that one. That is you can see I make it as a query selector 1 because that is actually the multiple title, right? They have the multiple title that will be added. Here I have already loaded that for each. Better here I want to do it to make it as a query selector all. Okay, query selector all. I want to take it as a query selector all because there is a multiple all that our task. So here I simply take it. Now let's check this out. Click as a save all. Now go, now refresh it. And now I want to edit this one. Now click as a, I make it as a 4, click as a edit. Yes, you can see it's now successfully updated. So before that is actually the multiple data, okay. Here we have to query multiple all the title, right? That is a task title, that is a multiple one. For the reasons here we have to pass that as a query selector all. And now you can see it's now successfully updated. Okay, it's now successfully updated this task. If you want to add this one, make it as a different name, click as edit task, and this task is now successfully updated. So now I want to do when that will be updated successfully, then again I want to make it as a change. Okay, here I want to change that our edit task and the cancel button that should be not display. If you want to do that work right now, there is a prototype as an update task, right? Here I have already done it. You can see I have already done the same things. Better I copy the total things from here from our edit task. I copy it and then here after this, okay. After this I want to paste it. I simply paste it. So now right now our value will be as empty. Okay, when that will be updated successfully, then I want to make this value will be as empty. And also for the ID, that is our title, and also ID I want to make it as a empty. Okay, I make it as a empty. And then our add text will be again visible. That means that will be as a inline, and our edit and cancel will be as a none. Okay, that means that should be not display. I simply change it as a none. That will be as a none, and also that will be as a none. Great. So now that should be updated. So that's all we have to do. Now if you click as a save all, okay, if you now click as a save all, so right now I refresh it again. And now you can see it's again become changed as a new one because of all I didn't update replace it in our local storage. Okay, we will do that things later. Right now I'm going to check it in here. Now click as edit. I want to edit it, and after that edit, if you click as edit task, yes, you can see that is successfully updated. It's now become empty because I have already updated. That will be as a value will be updated as a empty. So for the reasons it's now become empty, and then our display at task button will be as inline. That means that will be display, and rest of this our edit and then cancel will be none, and you can see it's not totally gone. Great. Now we have to update this data. We have to replace this data also in our this local storage, right? So how can do that work? Better I want to continue this process. In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, right now we are able to successfully updated our all the tasks in here, and also when it will be updated, our these two of this button will be gone. That means that will be the display none. You can see it's now successfully updated. but this data is updated in here. Right now I want to update it in our local storage. You can see our local storage data is the same. For the reasons, if you refresh this page, then that will be returned again our previous data. So if you want to update that in our local storage, then we have to do in our UI. Into this UI, I have already added one of the condition, right? So here I want to pass our two of this data. Here we have to pass that our title, there is a title ID, there is a text ID, and also we have to pass that our text title. I want to pass it in our local storage first. So here after this in our local storage, I have already created one of the object name with this ls as a local storage, and I want to create another prototype in here as a update. Okay, update task. So I want to create this type of one of the prototype, and here into the parameter area I want to pass our ID, that is a text ID. I want to pass it, and also I want to pass that our text title. Okay, I simply pass both of this in here. Now we have to create this prototype in our local storage, right? I have already created one of the object for this. Here you can see I have already created the object for the local storage as ls. Now if you go to our local storage, into the local storage after this, okay, after this I want to create another prototype that will be a local storage, and then the prototype, our prototype name will be as a update task. Okay, then I want to create another function, and that is our function, and into this function area there are the two parameter, right? I have passed two parameter from our UI. From to the UI I have passed two of this parameter. One is the tax ID, another is the title. So I want to name it appropriate name as a ID. Okay, ID and then the title. Okay, I name it as a ID and title. Great. And the rest of that procedure will be just like that same before that I have already done here. You can see we have to fetch that data, we have to match this tags, that is appropriately match or not, and then I want to update it. So that will be same. Better I copy it. I copy both of this. I hope you already know two of these things. Like here with this I call one of the fetch tags method. With this we will actually get that data from our local storage, right? And I take the things with this variable, and then I take another variable as index. Now with this task I want to find, or with the find index I want to find that a specific our task is, that is our local storage ID, that is task ID is matched with our requested ID or not, right? So that is our local storage data, local storage ID, when that will be equal match with our ID, that is our requested ID that I have passed from our UI, that is our ID, right? When that will be as a match, I want to update this title. Okay, here I want to replace it, so that will be as a task. So into this task area, and then our index value. Okay, into the index, that is the index value. This value title I want to update. So here I want to replace our title, that is our title I have get it. So now I want to replace it in here. Now I want to pass this data in our local storage. That means that will be, because in our local storage we have to make it as a JSON format, right? Now I want to pass it into the local storage with the set item. Here I want to pass it. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, and now if you go, now I refresh it. So right now our first data as a edit, and this is new one, right? Now you can see that is display as a this is new one. Now I want to change it. This is new, some like this type of one of the text. Now click as a edit data, and now you can see it's now successfully updated. And now if you check that our local storage, you can see into the local storage is also now successfully updated. Now if you refresh it, now that will be same. You can see now this data is not become changes, which is totally fine. We successfully done this job. Now I want to work in our cancel. Okay, when that will be a cancel, that means our value will be as a empty, right? So that is very much basic things. If you go to our index, I have already created another prototype as a cancel tags in our UI, right? So now I want to create this prototype in our UI. And into this UI, that will be actually, that is our reset code. I want to simply run it. So here I want to call that UI, and then the prototype, and our prototype name as a cancel task. Okay, and then that will be as a function, that is a function, and function here area I want to pass that as an event. Okay, I pass that event, and into this event area, and that will be Now I just simply close that semicolon, and that is our reset code. I simply copy it and then I paste it. Okay, so I simply paste it. That means our ID will be as a null and our title will be also as a null. Okay, so that is a simple process I have updated in here. And then our add text will be as an inline, edit text will be none, cancel will be none. Great, so that's all. Now if you click as a save all, now go there, click as a refresh. Like right now I want to update this part, like I make it some of the name, click as a edit task. You can see it's now successfully updated. If you click as a edit, click as a cancel, yes, you can see it's great. So now everything is working perfectly. If you click as a cancel, now there is task is empty, our ID will be also as empty. And right now all the data is successfully updated in our local storage. You can see there is a successfully updated. Now if you refresh it, now that is great. Everything will be work perfectly. So friend, we successfully complete our this project. Now if you add that new one as a high USA, I can make it as a high USA, add tax. So now there is a new tax is successfully added. If you want to make it as a check it, that means you complete this task, which is totally fine. If you make it as uncheck, it's totally fine. Okay, and click as a edit if you want to make it as a UA, okay, or UK right now. Now click as a update edit task, that is successfully updated, and that is also updated in our local storage, right? And if you want to delete it, it's deleted, and also it's successfully deleted from our list. Great, we successfully complete our total this project. I hope you like it very much.